I'm Sam Marchand, your voice of the Muskies, here with head men's wrestling coach Mike DeRoehn. And Coach T, talk to me about this year. You got a big class coming in of 8 and 12 returning. What excites you the most about getting the new guys in and having just a strong returning class?
Oh man, that's a great question. What excites me the most? Yeah, that's a mix because all the young kids have that fresh, energy. They're new to collegiate wrestling, and so that just has a little natural kind of excitement with them being so young and not always understanding exactly what to expect. So, and then I think it's just well balanced by having the core group of returners that we have, and so it's been exciting to see just I think how much more efficient we've been in our practices because the young guys have kind of somebody as they're looking around like, okay, what is this drill supposed to look like? And we're seeing those returners who now mostly are that junior class. We got a great group of sophomores and but for the younger guys to be able to look and kind of see how it's supposed to be, or they're getting that hands-on feel from the upperclassmen. That's been really exciting to see in practice, just the improvement. I just feel like we're further ahead at this time last year than we've been the last few years. So that's exciting heading into our first tournament this weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. And what is you talk about the depth and now having that? What kind of goals do you establish from having that depth versus in the past when you've been a little bit short?
I don't know if much changes really. I think I try to really focus on process no matter what. Like I really don't set like outcome based goals like, oh, we want to win the conference or something. Like of course we're trying to compete and do as well as we possibly can, but the reality is we try to just focus on what do we have to do today to be a little better than we were yesterday. We emphasize just working hard, working smart, and continual like growth and improvement as we go throughout the season. So every competition is an opportunity to learn and improve, and so I guess the goal is just to keep getting better, keep climbing the ladder of success one rung at a time, and keep working as hard as we can and see how good we can get by the end of the season. Because there's no saying like we don't have to necessarily set a ceiling on how good we could be either. I don't want to set a goal that says, oh, we want to win this arbitrary thing, and then we put our ceiling there. Like, let's just keep trying to get better week in and week out, and who knows how good we can get.
Yeah, absolutely. There's so much potential, so much growth, and you're going into the first tournament this weekend. You got the Muskie Scramble. It starts at 10 a.m. on the 8th.
Yep.
What's the difference in preparation for a dual meet versus a tournament?
Yeah, great question. So a dual meet is really just a single match, right? It's our team versus their team. So two teams. So it's not a duel like on guard, that type of thing. It's dual as in two, D-U-A-L. So a dual meet is just us versus their team. So one match, right? And so the difference is that typically when you wrestle a dual meet, it's in the evening, so you weigh in a little bit later. So your preparation the day of is different. Where when we have like a tournament this weekend, we'll weigh in at like 8 in the morning. We'll start competing at 10, and then you're wrestling multiple matches throughout the day. And so the preparation is different in terms of like making weight. You can pretty much you go to sleep close to what you need to weigh on Saturday morning. You wake up, you're pretty good typically. We're in a dual meet. You're probably going to have to get a workout in once during the day to kind of sweat off a little bit, just to really stay dialed in. When you're out competing at the tournament too, you've got to really focus on like your recovery between matches. So you've got to be thinking about, hey, as soon as you're off the mat, like I got to get in some carbs, some protein, some rehydration so that each time you go out and compete throughout the day, like this at the Scramble, guys should wrestle 3 to 4 matches. So you've got to try to like refill your gas tank up after each match so that you can go out and try to empty it out for the next one that's coming up. And so, we're fortunate. We work with someone named Erin Sparrow. She's a combat sports nutritionist, and she's given us some guidelines on what to eat, when to eat it, that type of stuff to help us try to perform at our best when it comes to those types of things.
How do those outside impactful people, how does that help this team and help them grow? I know we've talked about having the kind of like the mental aspect of the game too, and now you have nutrition. How do those things tie into just building this team in their future?
Yeah, it's I just feel like, I just believe in trying to like turn over every possible stone. For me, like I would feel like I'm failing guys as a coach if I wasn't trying to provide them that level of expertise. And
Mm-hmm.
and the reality is, many of the stuff that maybe the outside experts bring to us are things that I'm already sharing with them. But I think sometimes they just need an outside voice to reinforce. Like I would say 80% of my job is like telling our team like things that we've already told them, like
Mm-hmm.
over and over and over and over, just repeating. But especially when you bring in that outside expert, sometimes it just takes a different voice for something to stick. And one of my mentors always said, like, hey man, you got to keep throwing the dart and figuring out like what one's going to hit the bullseye, and it's all going to be different for every different kid too.
Mm-hmm.
And so if it means, if I say something about nutrition or hydration and it goes in one ear and out the other, but if a certified combat sports nutritionist, if she says the same thing and it sticks, hey man, I'm good with that. As long as it sticks with them, and they get the benefit out of that resource, I'm good with it. But I do believe that there's some value in having that outside voice coming in, and they just might say it in a slightly different way that's going to kind of hit the bullseye for certain kids. So whatever we got to do to help kids to reach their potential, that's what I'm trying to do. So that's why I'm not afraid to bring in outside people, because it's really about trying to help the kids perform at their best.
Kind of like having mom and dad tell you something and then somebody else says it and
Oh, for
it
sure.
sticks. Talk a little bit about the leaders on this team. Who has stepped up into that role? Who do you see stepping up into that role? And how does that guide the team, their effort, their progress throughout the season?
Yeah, that's a good question. So we've done things a little different. Like last year, we had kind of a leadership council that was like nominated, and this year we haven't done that yet. I've been kind of like watching to see like who's emerging as leaders, and I think again, because we have a little bit more of a mature team in terms of like the that junior class, and even like Nadal, our senior grad student, or Farouk's a grad student as well. Like they're just a little bit more mature, so we haven't really had to say like, okay, you're the team captains or anything like that,
Right.
because we're having enough, I guess, like leadership just taking place naturally from the maturity on the team, that we haven't had to like identify anybody like
Mm-hmm.
specifically just yet. But I think you look at a guy like Jesse Berg. He's a junior and a returning Scholar All-American, a returning regional place winner. And he really stepped up and led in our preseason, did a lot of our like team-led practices and things
Okay.
like that. So that's been good. A guy like Nadal Farah, who came back this year, he's a grad student. Like last Friday, we were doing having everybody just give out some gratitude, or like muskie put-ups, we call them.
Okay.
And I bet you 5 or 6 people mentioned something that Nadal did that that they wanted to express appreciation for. And I said, okay, that's a pretty cool thing that shows like how much value he brings to our team.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think. I mean, I've seen great leadership out of guys like Dylan Rabb has been helping guys with technique and mentoring guys. Evan Haffercorn also has been, Diego Morales, just setting a good example in terms of maturity and stuff. So yeah, it's a pretty wide ranging group where there's not really any like, identified leaders per se, like team captains, but there's a lot of leadership being exhibited throughout every day. And that's good enough for me.
Yeah, absolutely. You tie in the leadership, and then it just develops through preseason and until you get to that first tournament duel, all the things. And coming up next week, you got CU Dub in town, November 13th on a Thursday. What's Yell Night all about? Talk about the energy that's going to be there and what that means to the program and just to Lakeland as a whole.
Yeah, so anybody that's watching, if you haven't come to a home wrestling meet, we believe in trying to make our home meets an event that includes wrestling. So we always try to add some flair to it. And we haven't done Yell Night yet, but I'm giving it a try. So what we're hoping for is to get kids out of the residence halls and get them competing by floor to see like how many kids from their floor can come to the meet. And so we'll have some prizes for those, like the winning floor, basically. We're also going to have, as part of our halftime, we're going to have like a yell contest to see, like, I'm calling it the loudest and the proudest. And so maybe it's, I don't know, Grosh, whatever, floor, second floor, right? Whoever.
Yeah.
And we're going to have a little decibel meter in there. We're going to see, let them scream as loud as they can. And we're going to see, which group can be the loudest and the proudest. And so, we want to have people in the gym. We want to have energy, make it fun for the fans. So I know, like, I would go and watch, a little kid middle school wrestling meet, and I would think it was cool. But most kids, like, they don't even know the rules to wrestling.
Yeah.
And so I get that. I want to draw people out of the res halls, get them to come out, experience what it's like. We always do, music and some strobe lights and some fog machines, and we're throwing T-shirts out in the crowd. And just, last year we had a women's softball player go bursting across the mat halfway through. So that's the type of stuff that brings a lot of energy and a lot of fun to the meet. So that's what we're hoping to do with Yell Night. And so if you're watching this, really hope you'll come out next Thursday, November 13th. Wrestling starts at 6 p.m.
Coach T's got it. We got our Muskie Scramble this Saturday, and then follow it up with a duel against Concordia, Wisconsin. I'm Sam Marchant, your voice of the Muskies, bringing you Lakeland Athletics here with Coach DeRoehn, our head men's wrestling coach, and we're ready for wrestling season. Girl skis.